Okay, so we've got a different color background here because this is a rough piece of fabric that I've got. So you can use basically any fabric that you have at home that you can just use as a rough piece. Something that's easy for you to work with, so nothing heavy, nothing cumbersome. Also, I just want to bring to your attention that I acknowledge that some of you don't have sewing machines at home, and that it might be a bit difficult for you to actually to make a sample. So that is the primary reason why we are going to make a half scale skirt, so that we can actually do this by hand and we can do some hand sewing. And I know that might seem a little bit long-winded and tedious, but we needed to cater for everybody who might have any situation at home. So we've got our piece of fabric over here, and this is quite a good piece to actually demonstrate. As you can see, the little holes along the fabric. This is the manufactured edge of the fabric. We call this the straight of grain. The straight of grain is the section that the machine holds onto as it's being woven. So this is the edge that we know the direction the pattern should be laid down in. So as mentioned previously in class, and I know that class was a really long time ago, the little arrows that are marked on your pattern pieces, your straight of grain must always be marked out on your pattern, and it's always parallel to the selvage. This line is your selvage. So let's just always acknowledge that your arrow needs to be parallel to the selvage. So it's not like this, it's not like that, it is always like that. There's your arrow, there's your selvage. Also, I just wanted to point out that this is your final pattern, and we know it's our final pattern because it has seam allowance. So these patterns are ready for cutting. Right, so let's just also, always very important, know that if your pattern is marked cut on fold, that we need to fold our fabric so that when it is cut, that it opens double-sided. So I'm going to show you what that means. Let's open that fabric up. Okay, so this is your selvage. It doesn't go this way or diagonally or backwards and forwards. It's across like so. To the next side. Right, so we're folding it across so that the straight of grain remains parallel for cutting. So when you place your pattern down, that it is parallel to the selvage. Right, so I've got my pattern here. So the pattern requires me, let me show you where the fold is. So cut and fold over here. This is the fold. This line you can clearly see, this is where it has been folded. It is folded. So I've got my pins handy, and I'm going to place my pattern on the exact edge of the fabric. Nothing must be sticking out on the side that it has been folded. I'm going to pin it directly onto the table so that it's easier for me to work with. Okay, and I'm going to place this a bit higher, closer there. So I just want to show you the variation of placement and why it's still applicable. So this is the straight of grain. This whole direction here is the straight of grain, because this is the selvage and this is the selvage. The selvage line, the straight of grain, has clearly been marked on the pattern, and here the straight of grain has also clearly been marked on the pattern. So this line is still parallel to the selvage, and this line is still parallel to the selvage, no matter where you place it, as long as it is parallel to the selvage. Take note of that. So I'm going to make a mark, and I'm going to pin it down there. I'm going to pin it down here. Okay, I've got my fabric scissor, and exactly on the line of the seam allowance, I'm going to cut out my pattern. Right. Okay, as you can see, exactly on the edge, nothing sticking out the sides. So let's do the exact same with this piece over here. Okay. Right around the edge, all the way around. Okay, just take it away. Okay, so now I want you to take note of some important markings that we can't ignore, because during sewing we have to take note of our placement of our dots. So now what we do is we just pin this onto the fabric so that we don't lose our mark. Okay, so what we've got here is, so we've got a dot here and we've got two dots on the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a nip with our scissor, which is probably 2 millimeters long, which is the tip of my scissor like that, just so that I can know the depths and the marking of my dots. Okay, and then I'm going to put my pin in at the end of each of my dots, and I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to open up onto the inside of my pattern. And as you can see, this is the inside of my pattern, both sides. I'm going to mark it like that. That's back. It's the inside of back, and also the cut marks, the nip marks of where I cut my dots. Open it up, and you can actually see where the nips are, where you nipped it in. Okay, so you repeat exactly the same process in the front. Okay, so you mark. Okay. It's there, and that's there. So now you know exactly how. Oh, and your zip allowance, don't forget to mark how far the zip should go. Put that in. So your zip, you should know how far to stitch your zip. Right. So now this is your front, this is your back. Remember just to keep your pins in until you are ready for sewing. So basically, I'm hoping that you guys have a hand sewing needle at home, because this is probably going to be vital for those of you who don't have sewing machines. Just your very sort of basic hand sewing needle, and just any piece of cotton that you have, that's, you know, any kind, that would be great, just so that you can get to the sewing process of this. So I will take you through how to do this, and it's going to be a great result if you follow the steps perfectly. Right, so now we've got our pattern cut out, both the front and the back. This is just the front that I wanted to show you. So previously we marked out our little cut pattern with the notches and the dark points. So I'm going to open this up, and as you can see, it is it's a full front, but half scale. I'm turning it around, and as you can see, our marks are there. So I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to draw in the lines. This is just for guidelines, so that you can know how this is done. We don't normally draw lines on our fabric during production because it just takes practice. And what we are going to do is, this notch needs to go to this notch. Let me show you that again. This notch needs to go to this notch, and it is folded in half like that. So this notch went to that notch, and the dot is completely in half. The point needs to be in half, as you can see. I'm going to take a pin, and I'm going to pin it in like so. Let's put another pin in just to secure it. Okay. And then I've got my, as you can see, the dot is completely in half, right? It's better to work with a guideline so that you can know where it's going. I've got my sewing needle here, got a piece of white cotton if it's visible, got my sewing needle, and I'm going to secure it at the end because we don't want our dot to come loose in any way, like so. And we are going to start stitching, and I use a basic back and forth method of stitching. I make a basic one stitch, taking my pin out, and I'm going to stitch a bit further, and then it'll be a little bit more visible to see from your side. Okay. So what I'm doing is, here is a stitch, the end of the stitch is over there. This is the stitch, this is the end of the stitch, and I'm bringing it through. I'm pushing it in at the end of the last stitch. I'm passing the next stitch. I'm coming out the other side like so, and I'm pulling it through. And that's the result I've got. And I'm doing it again, the end, putting it in, going past the last stitch, it's visible, and I am continuing on all the way to the end of the line. It doesn't take very long because the stitch is short, the dot is short. So I'm continuing, Naturally, if you have a sewing machine at home, you are able to do this on your sewing machine. That's totally fine. But I needed to do this as if I didn't have a sewing machine, just to cater for everybody in our class. Okay, let's continue further on. We're almost done. Okay, and then if you have an iron in your home, make sure it's nice and hot. And what you do is to got almost at the end, finish that, and then you close it with a double knot and you snip it off. And mine might not be absolutely 100% perfect, but this is what I've got. And this is the inside. If I turn it around, this is the outside. As you can see, if you have an iron, you can iron it flat on the outside here, and then from the outside you press your dart to the side seam that way. So you repeat the process with this dart, and you repeat the process on your back, and then you stitch your side seams together. This is what your result should look like. Turning this inside out. These are my front darts. Right. These are my front darts over here. These are my back darts. I want you to iron in a 2 centimeter seam allowance on your center back as instructed, and then you stitch your center back from your notch down to the hem, from your notch down to your hem in center back, and you stitch your side seams closed, stitch your side seams closed, and this is your skirt, as you can see. Turning it inside out. Always remember to press your skirt so that your quality is good. This is what my front looks like, and this is what my back looks like. And this is what I need from you.